Okay, we're going to read Monkey Tales, which is going to be a star practice for us, and we're going to annotate. I'm going to read the paragraph and then annotate. You're going to stop the recording, annotate, and make sure that we have the same information. Okay, Monkey Tales by Dale E. Howard. I suppose that everyone who has ever lived in India has some story to tell about monkeys, and my family is no exception. When we lived in Lucknow, in northern India, we saw monkeys almost every day, because they lived all around us. In fact, I always thought it was a little silly that the Lucknow Zoo had a monkey house, there being so many more monkeys outside than inside. Right now I can tell this is a narrative, and so when I'm looking at a narrative, even if it's a fiction story or nonfiction story, I'm still going to be looking at this plot diagram with rising action. There should be some kind of climax, falling action, a resolution, a lesson to be learned, which is the theme. We're also going to be looking at characters, characterization. So let's make note that we know characterization, some rising action, a possible theme, a turning point, even a conflict. Now, right now, all I know is he's the one talking, and he's saying, I suppose. So there was a time that he lived in India, and he mentions monkeys. I'm even going to circle that because they're probably character, and his family is no exception. So his family was included in what's ever going to happen. And again, they're talking about this city in India. Every day, it says, we saw monkeys almost every day. And he even thought it was funny that there was a zoo with monkeys in it because there were more monkeys outside. So I'm going to put, he lived in India. Uh-oh, that should be capitalized. Lots of, and I'm going to just put an arrow, lots of monkeys. Okay, so I did the first one. The second one, I'm going to read it, and then you're going to stop, and then make sure that we have the same thing. Mother kept a large bowl of fruit on the buffet in the dining table of our home. Depending on the season, the bowl held mangoes, sweet limes, pomegranates or guavas, papaya or custard apple, as well as apples, bananas, and oranges, which were really tangerines, but we called them oranges. In short, the bowl held everything monkeys like, except peanuts. Okay, stop it and annotate. As you can see, we came another character, Mother. She kept a large bowl of fruit on the buffet, and then it goes to list all the different types of fruit. And it all comes down to, in everything, it was, in the bowl, everything monkeys like. I can kind of make a prediction here. I think something's going to happen with this bowl of fruit and all the monkeys that there are. This is leading up to it. Really, this is rising action right here, if we want to kind of name it. Not a whole lot of annotating here. I just kept it simple. Mom kept all the fruit. And I underlined that monkeys like, because that's important. Moving on. One morning, Mother came walking in from the back garden, through the veranda and past the kitchen. She had just picked several roses and thought they would look nice in a vase placed beside the fruit bowl. But when she walked into the dining room, there they were. Sitting right next to the bowl and helping herself to its contents was a mother monkey. All around her on the buffet and across the dining room table were about a dozen baby monkeys. The monkey mother probably had nieces and nephews beside her own children. Monkeys tend to share their young. And they were all there they all were, being quite still and orderly, not chattering and fighting as you might expect. Okay, go ahead and stop the recording and annotate. Okay, in this paragraph, you should have noted that Mother came in from picking flowers and she was putting them in the dining room. And there they were. Look at the explanation. There they were. It was a mother monkey sitting all around the buffet across the dining table, but next to her were about a dozen. That's like 12 babies. The mom monkey probably had her nieces and nephews beside her own children, because it says in parentheses, monkeys tend to share their young, meaning just like your aunt maybe takes you and your cousins out to eat, so was this mother monkey. She was just taking them out to eat, and she took her nieces and nephews along with her own children. But what was surprising, and that's me being surprised over here, like, what? They were being quite still and orderly. Remember, we are boxing words that we don't know. If orderly is a word that's not known to you, you should have boxed it. Not chattering. Many of you should know what chattering is because you do it a lot. If you don't know what it is, that's when you look it up. Not chattering or fighting as you might expect. So again, this right here is an unexpected thing that she came upon. She found all these monkeys inside of her house. It was common to see them all over the place, but now they're inside the house. Okay, let's read on and see what happens. The mother monkey looked over each piece of fruit as she took it from the bowl and handed it ever so carefully to the baby monkey in front of her. As that little one moved aside, the entire group moved up a place, and the next baby monkey reached out for the morning's meal. They all seemed overwhelmed by their good fortune, for they were behaving themselves, except that they were still eating all of our fruit, which my mother didn't like at all. Okay, go ahead and pause it. Okay, in this paragraph, really should make a note that the mother monkey is handing each piece of fruit carefully to the babies. And when she hands it to them, they each move up. They seemed overwhelmed. Again, if you don't know what that is, that's a word you need to look up. By their good fortune, because they were all behaving. And except for the fact that they were eating the fruit, they were all doing a good job. But his mom didn't like that. Okay, let's move on. Mother backed out. Now this is the human mom. Mother backed out quietly out of the dining room doorway and called Beg, our cook, who had been busy making breakfast in the kitchen. The best thing to do, they decided, was to go around the house to the front door, tiptoe through the living room, and shut the door between the living and the dining rooms. Then, going from the living room to the bedroom door into the dining room, they could shoo the monkeys out of the dining room by way of the veranda. Okay, go ahead and stop. I see some words in there that maybe you might want to look up. Go ahead and stop the recording so you can annotate. Okay, so now you should have noted that Mother backed out quietly. She didn't, scream or say, "Get out of here," and make it worse. She called the cook. And if you wanted to look up that word, you shouldn't, because that is a name. This right here is the cook's name. They made a plan. They decided the best thing was to go around all these places. They decided to go around the house, through the living room, close the door from the dining room, go through the bedroom, so they could finally shoo the monkeys out through the veranda to the patio outside. Again, you should have looked up veranda if you didn't know what that meant. It was this real creative way. Instead of just yelling at them from where she was at to try to get them, because you can imagine that would have probably not been a good idea. They would have scattered everywhere. There's a dozen baby monkeys. There's one mom. You know how we moms are about our babies. So if someone messes with the babies, the mom's going to get angry. So they did the best thing. They created this really creative plan to get the monkeys out. Okay, let's keep going. The fruit bowl breakfast wasn't the last that we saw of the monkeys, of course. Once when my sister and some friends and I were parading along the back wall of the college compound where we lived, we met a monkey tribe parading along the same wall, but going the opposite direction. We saw them coming just about the same time they saw us coming, and the question was, who was going to give up the right of way? We thought we would, because the tribe was led by a great big old warrior of a grandpa who snarled and grunted and made faint attacks at us as he came along the wall, hopping fiercely on all fours. In fact, we fairly fell off the wall trying to get back to the old tree that we used to climb up. And because I was the smallest and at the back of the parade, I was almost run over by everyone else hurrying to get away. Everyone except my sister. All right, let's stop here and annotate. Okay, so in this paragraph, you should have noted that that fruit bowl thing was not the only time that they met monkeys. One time when him and his sister were parading along the back wall, again, parading, it means just like a parade. It means to walk, to stroll along the back wall of the large compound. They met a monkey tribe also parading along the same wall. Now, compound, I circled it because it is underlined already. That means that this is going to be a question that they're going to ask you, but they're going to use a dictionary entry. You don't need to look up this word because that means they're going to have an already pre-made dictionary entry that you're going to have to see how it's used in this sentence. So that word you don't need to look up. They've already looked it up for you. You just need to figure out how it's being used. So here we come along this wall where these monkeys, okay, so here's the drawing. Don't laugh, you know, I'm not an artist. So they're walking along this wall, just having a good time, being kids, and then they come upon these monkeys. Yes, I know that looks like a mouse, but it is a monkey. Don't judge me. And there's a bunch of monkeys behind him, but you can't see them. So they come upon this monkey tribe, and they're almost kind of playing the game of chicken. But the humans are like, you know what? We're going to go ahead and let you make it, because the leader was this old warrior of a grandpa monkey who was snarling and grunting and made faint. Now, I looked this one up. This is pretend, but I'm pretty sure he didn't look like he was joking. Pretend attacks on us as he was hopping fiercely on all fours. Now, this is very negative. This is not a joke. It says faint, but if he was really making an attack, he would have actually attacked them. But he's making it known that he doesn't want them on this wall anymore, and they better move it or lose it. So they did. They took off, but one person stayed behind. His sister. So now we're going to find out what happens here. Judy had been leading the parade along the wall, so was the closest to the grunting grandpa. There was only one thing to do to give the rest of us time to get away, and Judy did it. She bent over until her curled up hands touched the top of the wall. She snarled and grunted and fainted a fierce fight right back at Grandpa. So while the rest of us ran down to the wall to the tree where Judy and Grandpa Monkey hooping. Sorry, let's read that again. So while the rest of us ran down the wall to the tree, there were Judy and Grandpa Monkey, hooting and hollering and baring their teeth, daring each other to strike the first blow. The rest of us realized what was happening only after we were safely on the ground, and suddenly we were worried for Judy. How would she get down? But Judy managed to slowly back away from Grandpa and his followers until she too was able to slide down a tree and run with the rest of us across the lawn back to safety. All right, so go ahead and stop and annotate. Okay, so you should have noted that Judy was leading the parade. She was closest to the Grandpa Monkey, so when they were trying to get away, she came up with the idea of acting like a monkey herself. So she bent over, she curled her hands up, and then she started snarling and grunting and faking an attack right back at Grandpa Monkey.